So in the last video, I talked about risk and how when you're looking in forward into 2019, you also want to be thinking about what risks did you take in 2018 that got you where you're at now. Um, so now I want to talk about something that is almost, it might seem polar opposite, but it's not, and it's rest. So there's truly a risk and rest cycle that we go through in life. I see this a lot in my coaching because I coach a lot of high driven visionary types, apostolic, prophetic types often. I see this with evangelist types as well, where we are usually, our struggle, our weakness is that we need to honor rest more. Not usually risk more. And usually the last two types, by the way, pastor, teacher, are the ones that are usually better at this by default. And they're usually more needing to learn to risk by default. But it's a true paradigm that if you don't rest, you can't risk. And I think there's also a part, if you don't risk, it's hard to rest. It's a backwards cycle. But the counterproductive, or the counterintuitive part of this that just seems like it seems like such a it seems like a lie in the moment, which is why we don't honor it, is that risk or rest, actually allows us to become more productive. Now we talk about this theoretically, right? Well, that makes sense. But until you're in it, it's hard to see that this is actually where things are powerful. So for me, if I'm not in a space where I'm rested in my heart, I miss out on my wife's needs. I miss out on my daughter's. And I miss out on even what the people I'm serving, the clients that I have, to really spend a lot of time when I'm with them to really, really meet them where they're at. So, there's this idea of pace. So the guy that coached me, he brought this concept of pace up to me, and it's this idea that it's sort of like we have different paces we run at, or we go at. Let me say that actually. So one way I do this with people I coach now is I usually ask them to think through a sports activity or an extracurricular activity that reveals different speeds during the activity. So for me, I played football and basketball, and I loved the idea how in football, when the play starts, boom, you're going full on, it's burst mode, and then you rest. And in basketball, I was gung go 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 go, and then they took me on the bench, and I'm the one that's on the sidelines on the bench, just like my friends would always laugh at me because I would be breathing so hard. But that's how I'm wired. I work at a high burst mode and a rest mode. I don't have a lot of in between mode. I have some, but I thrive better when I'm in good rest and good sprint mode. So that's part of what you want to think through is when you're thinking through 2018, how did you do with rest? Because what might be an issue here, if you're thinking about why did I not get where I wanted, or why did I get where I wanted, it could be because you honored rest. But a lot of times we don't consider this one because it's not cool. It's, I would say our culture's honoring things. They use words like meditation and things like that. So it's, it's becoming trendy in a way, but our culture still really, I think it really still values workaholism over everything else when it comes to pace. And it's true that, there's one person I coached as an example. I took her through that pace exercise, and it was fascinating because she basically said that 2/3 of her week should be spent, it was something like 2/3, if I remember correctly, she should be in rest mode. And about 1/3 of her time is in burst mode. And if you actually look through her week to see how she was honoring that with her time, it wasn't happening. And she realized that would be a major shift if she actually did that. But it really requires a risk to step into rest. So again, those things play off of each other. But that's one thing to be thinking about going forward in 2019 now is, how will you honor rest this year? How will you include that as part of your life? And if you even think through briefly, like, what kind of pace do I typically work at? Usually that really changes the game for me. So I hope it serves you, and I hope you have a great beginning to your new year.